Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Yugioh Zexal review. This time I will be reviewing episode 4 of Yugioh Zexal. For those wondering where the 5Ds episode review was yesterday, I apologize. I was working on a theory pretty much all day yesterday, and I did not have time to record the 5Ds episode 4 review. That will be out tomorrow or on Monday, so I do apologize for that. But every Sunday, I am reviewing an episode of Zexal Subbed, and today we are already up to episode 4, which is the end of the Yuma versus Yugioh duel. Yuma versus teacher in the tower, not the Heartland Tower, but in some other tower where this computer bomb is about to go off, and if it does go off, it's going to destroy pretty much all. It's basically, I guess, like a city EMP, and it's going to destroy all the technology in the city. All the lights are going to go out. They're going to be in a huge panic. There was already kind of a much more mini-scale version of this that happened in the last episode where the city was sent into panic, but as Akari told Yuma in the last episode, imagine if all of the bank accounts got erased or all of the power was permanently down and everything was on the fritz, how people would react to something a lot more major than what we already saw where people were already in chaos. So clearly if this goes off, it's not going to be a good thing. In terms of aesthetics, I loved the fact that while this duel was going on, they had the clock going on in the background. You could even see when the clock wasn't the emphasis of the shots, like when Yugioh was dueling, or Yuma was dueling, you could see in the background the clock was continuously moving down, and countdowns in Yu-Gi-Oh, whenever they've happened, very seldom, like the Hanoi and Vrains, the Hanoi Tower going off, or better yet, the in Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds, when Yusei is trying to escape from Satellite and he's being tracked down by Ushio, literally that timer was horribly done. So this one seems a lot more realistic, and I did really enjoy that. So the aesthetics were nice. It was also awesome mid-duel when the elevator, when you find out what they're on is actually an elevator, and it rises to the very top of this building, and you can see the whole city, and Yugioh says, I want you guys to have a front row view of when the city gets sent into chaos and when the virus goes off. So that was pretty cool. So the setting of this duel was awesome. Caswell, if he said in summary one more time, I felt like I was just gonna punch him through the laptop screen. that definitely irritated me a little bit. But besides that, I thought the episode was good. I didn't really have any issues with it. Yuma and Astral again bickering, which again maybe gets on my nerves a little more than it does other people's, but I guess a lot of people in the comment section did make a good point that Yuma is a 13-year-old kid, and so someone is telling him what to do. Obviously, he's going to have issues with that because he's not fully matured, and that is a very good point. He's a much younger protagonist than we've had thus far, and I do need to kind of keep that in the back of my head that his maturity levels are definitely not going to be at like Yusei Fudo's just because of how much younger he is than Yusei. So it makes sense that he kind of has this maybe a bit, I don't want to say annoying, but maybe a bit easy to annoy, I guess. And he doesn't like to be told what to do, which makes sense. And Astral realizes that in this duel, so Astral starts telling Yuma to do the opposite of what he actually wants Yuma to do, and this actually ends up working. Yuma basically wins this duel because of Astral. I know in the duel against Shark, if Yuma listened to Astral, he would not have won, but this duel was kind of a complete 180 on that perspective, which I liked a lot, that if Astral was not there, Yuma most likely had no strategy, had no plan to defeat Yugioh, because when Astral told him to use the card that inflicted damage to Yugioh, and then after Yugioh raised his own life points, he told Yuma to use the trap, Yuma seemed to have no indication that he was going to utilize any sort of strategy like that, and how this duel ends up playing out is actually really, really cool. Yugioh is obsessed with a perfect duel, and that actually, as you know, it usually is in Yu-Gi-Oh, ends up being his downfall. He uses a trap card called like Omega Vaccine Max or something along those lines that gives him back his life points to the degree of whatever life points he lost. So Yuma takes 500 from him. He uses that trap. He gains 500 back. He also is able to summon Super Crash Bug, which is a monster with 3,000 defense points, but while this monster is on the field, the attack and defense points of every monster, it's basically like a monster that's able to use the shield and sword card. The attack and defense points are completely reversed, so Yugioh's main numbers monster, which has 2,900 defense points, now has 2,900 attack points, and Yuma's Leviath Dragon and his Utopia, they go from Utopia goes from 2,500 to 2,000. Leviath Dragon goes from 2,000 to 0. So clearly not a card that works out for Yuma at all, but a card that really works out well for Ukio's strategy. Yuma's able to survive Ukio's attack because he uses Utopia's last overlay unit, or Hope's last overlay unit, which forces Ukio to end his turn, and Ukio sets a trap card, and you see Astral, the wheels start turning, and Astral goes, that trap card. And you know Astral kind of has a feeling of what that trap card's going to be, and honestly, if you're paying attention to the duel, you should know what that trap card's going to be too. It's going to be the same card because this guy is so obsessed with a perfect duel that he used before, the Omega Vaccine trap. And so Astral tells Yuma to use a card that's going to inflict damage to Ukio, which he does. It's like Supercharge, or I can't remember the name of it. And Ukio then uses that trap. And once he uses that trap, Astral tells Yuma to activate his trap card. Yuma activates his trap card, and I think it was like Excessive Insecurity, or the name of it was brilliant because it was literally a play on what has happened in this episode, where Ukio wants to have a perfect duel, I guess because he wants to overcompensate for something, or not having a lot of confidence, or whatever it may be. But it's cocky, it's arrogant, and honestly, it's what loses him this duel. If he doesn't play that trap card and he's not focused on a perfect duel, and he's just focused on winning the duel, then he would have won the duel. So that aspect was a little, I thought, maybe silly, just to see a duelist that obsessed with not losing any life points to the point where it ends up costing him the duel. But you know what, Astral, kudos to him for realizing that was his trap card, for realizing that he was going to regain his life points, and for having this combo in the works. And so Yuma uses that Excessive Insecurity card, which again, the name was perfect for the situation, which lets him destroy a monster. He destroys Super Crash Bug, and once that monster's gone, the attack and defense go back to normal. And Yuma attacks with Leviathan Dragon, he attacks with Hope, and that ends the duel. And what you learn in the background, of course, of this duel, Akari is trying to stop this virus from going off. Astral takes number 34 Terabyte back, and they look out at the screen because they're unable to stop this virus. They're unable to stop this virus bomb from going off. And what you realize is that this virus, I'm assuming this was the case because it was a little questionable, I guess, at the end, that this virus that was going to go off wasn't really a virus. It was more of an illusion show that for anyone who had their D-Gazer on, if they looked up at the sky, they saw a crash bug monster that was throwing bombs that were basically fireworks. It was basically a fireworks show that Mr. K, that Ukio, wanted to put on for everyone that had D-Gazers, I guess just because he's a kind-hearted guy. So I guess this actually wasn't ever going to be a virus. So they literally, even if Yuma, well, if that's the thing, if Yuma failed to defeat him, Astral would have been obliterated, as he said. So it was still a must-win duel for Yuma. But, I mean, all the stakes that, in terms of the city being destroyed or plunged into chaos, they were never really there. That was just kind of a smoke and mirrors show because of this numbers card possessing Ukio, and so that was kind of an interesting play. The fireworks show at the end was very nice. We also learn Astral, every time he gets a numbers, he gets a little piece of his memories back, that he is from a place called the Astral World. I'm sure that will be important down the road. Of course, I've already seen the show, so I know it will be. But that was cool that this is the first episode where Astral realizes where he's from, and I also like how he gets a little piece of himself back every time they do take a numbers monster. The preview for the next episode is Yuma vs. Weevil 2.0. It's literally a character that always has reminded me so much of Weevil, one of my most hated characters in Yugioh Zexal, I guess you could say. So next episode might be a little tough for me to get through, but I am still looking forward to it. It's an episode I actually have not watched subbed, so I am looking forward to it. And that pretty much is going to wrap up this review, guys. You let me know what you thought of this episode. I know the very early parts until Kaito shows up is not easy to get through for a good amount of people, so let me know genuinely what you thought of this episode. If it was a good episode, a bad episode, if you absolutely hate the early stages of Zexal. For me, I really don't mind it, but the show, I think, really kicks up another gear, as I've said many times, once Kaito shows up, and we are only a few weeks away from that, so I'm very, very excited to see him show up. But this duel by no means was a bad duel, I thought. The premise was maybe a little dumb, where, again, Yugioh wanted to be perfect, but again, by no means was it a bad duel, and there weren't any major differences between the subbed version and the dubbed version that I could find. If you guys have any differences you notice, besides, like, some dialogue changes, because that's going to be in every episode, please let me know down below as well. So special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons, Alexa Baker, Christopher Johannes Bouska, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, D01, and James Rose, and to my Diamond tier patrons, Soledsnak and bouldergeist. Thank you to everyone who supports me over on Patreon from the bottom of my heart, and thank you all at home for watching this as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you down below. Thank you for the incredible support, and I hope you have an amazing day.